Hello and welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel with myself, Jacob Coleshaw, Charlie Zazera, who is recovering every week, hopefully getting a little bit better every week, even though he had to be put through watching Watford yesterday. And we're delighted to be joined by a friend of the channel and Watford Observer's Watford FC correspondent, Mr. Adam Drury. A jam-packed show. And you can see by the title, why are Watford not clicking under Javi Gracia? That's the line we've gone with. And I know, Adam, you mentioned in your piece after the game that it's 2 losses in 16. But yet yesterday, I know it's a 1-1 draw, it's a point on the road, and some would say probably in seasons gone by, it's not the end of the world. But I think probably the context of it means that it feels a little bit more like a loss. But before we get into all of that, Adam, how are you, mate? And I know I've sort of just gone straight in there. But how are you getting on? How's things, mate? How's work going?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's very busy. Particularly the midweek weeks when there's a game midweek, it feels like it basically never stops. So a little bit calmer. The week coming up, we've got sort of Eduardo Bove unveiling tomorrow at the training ground, like he's doing a press conference. So that'll be interesting. Get to meet him for the first time. I know he's done the video with the club today, and I've seen a bit of it, and it looks like he came across pretty well. But I don't think we're going to be talking about him much more after this week because don't think he'll be playing for a little while. But yeah, it'll be interesting to hear from him tomorrow. Last week of the transfer window, and then another busy week of games starting on Saturday.
Adam, from what you've heard about Bove, what can we expect, or what sort of the whispers you're hearing? Obviously, you'll get to meet the man tomorrow, and as you said, he comes across really well, really articulate. His English level is very, very good, considering he's never lived here. But from what you know about him, what sort of player, personality, character are we getting?
I think I really agree on the English. Like, obviously, I got told he was doing a press conference, but didn't expect him to speak so well. So that's good. I mean, I think that like he's come across as a really great person in talks with the club. I mean, there's a reason that he's sort of valued the loyalty and faith that Watford have shown in him over probably bigger offers. Like, all things being equal, I think he could have been playing in the Premier League or Bundesliga or on bigger money elsewhere, but he's chosen to sort of commit to Watford because of the time and effort that they've put into him over the last few months, going back to last May. So yeah, I think they're really impressed by like his buy-in and how engaged he seems to be with the club. So yeah, it's an exciting one, but it's one of those. This happens quite a lot in January, doesn't it? Where there's a reason that often that players are available in January. Obviously, Bove is a slightly different case because of what happened, but like usually there's a fitness issue or a form issue, and it's quite hard to get January signings who come in and hit the ground running. So, don't think we're going to see him for a little while. Hopefully, like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe. But yeah, I think the thing he's going to have to get over more than more than like getting fit, because apparently he's already very fit. Like, he's showing up as one of the fittest players in the squad, but it's the mental side of it as well. Obviously, the first match he plays will be his first match since he collapsed on the pitch in front of thousands of fans. That's quite a traumatic thing to get over mentally. So I think that's what is needing to be worked on in training. Needs to get used to like playing proper football with teammates. But yeah, if everything goes to plan and he gets up to speed, then should be an exceptional signing. But I suppose the uncertainty is why he's at Watford, because we don't know quite what level he'll hit.
Adam, what impact do you think Alan Barami's made since he's joined the club? Because it seems like everything's been pretty gone swimmingly since he's joined. Like, the signings have been really exciting, apart from that first game at Charlton when he was losing his head and he was in the dugout for the first couple of games. But the way he speaks to the media seems really well. I know you got the quotes about him talking about Bove, it's impossible and stuff like that. I thought that was really clever. But what impact has he had since joining?
I think that dugout thing was a bit odd, and I think it seems like Javi put a stop to that as soon as he came in, because he was by the dugout for every game with Paulo, and then it immediately stopped. But for me, like, I know before I was in this role, not all I wanted, but what we really needed as fans was just to hear from the club more, like hear what they're thinking, hear what the plan is, just a little bit more transparency, I guess, and like feeling like it's not closed off and you have no idea what they're thinking at the top of the club, which I think has been the case at times over the last few years. Obviously, I sort of started at similar times when Valon came in, but I think just being able to communicate on behalf of the club and explain why decisions are being made, talk a little bit more about transfers. And he's a really, really nice guy as well. Like, not got to know him well, but just sort of saying hello and stuff around those press conferences. Like, he's a really warm, nice guy. So, and it basically seems like no questions off limit. Like, obviously with both Bove quotes, like, he was hiding quite a lot, like that. It wasn't true that the signing was impossible at that time. Talks were a long way down the line, but that's just what happens. But speaks really well, and I think it's just good to have a communicator on behalf of the hierarchy rather than just hearing from the coach, because we know so much happens at Watford that isn't the coach's domain. I think it's it's worth saying. I know there's a conversation about how a lot of clubs, the sporting director is making lots of big calls, like at Chelsea, say at the moment. They're very influential, and you never hear from them. And I know there's a debate about whether they should face the press more than just the coaches that they hire. So I think it's really good at Watford that we kind of get access to Valon and hear what the club is thinking as well as the coach. So yeah, it's good. And I think the players really like him as well. He's obviously a recently retired player, so he understands how players feel, probably got a little bit more like empathy towards treats them as people, and understands their family and their circumstances. So I think even players who left in the summer, like Ryan Andrews, like, he was good with him and dealt with the situation well. So definitely a force for good, I think.
Lovely stuff. Okay, well, we'll talk about the January transfer window towards the end of the show, because Javi Grassi, as Adam heard yesterday, made it very clear he wants some signings, and he wants some signings in defensive areas as well, particularly with the injury situation, with Max Elaine leaving. I'm sure that's a name that people who are listening to this podcast don't want to keep bringing up. Matty Pollock, obviously, as we mentioned, but foremost, Mendy wasn't even in the squad yesterday. We'll sort of discuss that. But also yesterday, Blackburn won, Watford won. Charlie, I didn't even ask how you were. Hope it was good, mate. How's the hip getting on?
Yeah, bit of a painful one today, but we've got some painkillers on the go. And
yesterday didn't improve it, by the way. I'm sort of assuming yesterday didn't improve it.
I was feeling a lot more mobile yesterday. I was flying. I've started doing some walking, but it's all good, step by step. Just get ready for that promotion party, hopefully.
and the Men's World Cup, which we must mention on the 9th of May at Vicarage Road, obviously subject to change, depending whether Watford sort of get their act together on this playoff push.
What do you want? What do you want us in the playoffs, or is that just a logistical disaster?
Do you know what, Charlie? Jump in it. I'm more than happy to send it as close as possible. Look, let's keep it exciting. Let's keep everyone on their toes. But I think we said to everyone, didn't we, Charlie, about sort of keeping those weeks free if you can. I know people obviously might be starting to book an early summer holiday, and you never know what's happening around then. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it looks like 48 teams are going to be involved this year, which is a lot of players and a lot of people involved at the Trust and at the Men's World Cup. So if you still want to get involved, or if you want to buy tickets, I think, or at least you can see all the details anyway in the description below. Charlie, I'm just going to give you sort of the time, the space. How did you assess yesterday at Ewood Park? Blackburn 1, Watford 1.
Hugely frustrating. Going into that Blackburn game off the back of the Portsmouth game, which was, I thought, really, really poor. We spoke about it last week, where Millwall looked a lot better side, and you can kind of take that one on the chin, but Portsmouth had players out. I think Blackburn weren't fully fit yesterday. They've got a lot of issues going off the pitch as well. They had a protest. They didn't have their full team out, I'm sure. I know Good Johnson, their striker, wasn't fit. And I just saw it as a big opportunity. I know we didn't have, obviously, Imran Louza wasn't playing, big miss, but the way the game planned out, first 25 minutes, I was like, I think I've messaged in the group, why couldn't we play like this on Wednesday? I was really encouraged with what I was seeing. I thought our intent was great, creating chances, aggressive on and off the ball. It looked like one of those good away performances. Then we got the goal and then conceded, a minute or two straight afterwards. And for me, it was more of a mental thing. It kind of really knocked us off. It was like we got, like in a boxing match, we got hit with a straight jab and we kind of didn't see it coming. And we just couldn't really get our bearings from then. Obviously, we'll go into detail, but the Rocco Vata injury, and then the second half just never really got going. The level of football was poor sorry, dog there. The level of football was really, really poor, I thought, from both sides. It was like a strange basketball match at times. And obviously, Chatford-Adzi has a huge chance from a great ball from Marma, but I didn't think we were all much the better second team. So really frustrating not to win it again because, again, another team who in the relegation zone who we failed to beat.
Do you know what? Let's take it back to the start, Adam, with the lineup here. And it was Selvik in goal, back four of Ngakia, who captained Watford for the first time since he's joined the club. Kevin Caben, a Bankwa bowler, with obviously Matty Pollock out, with Kipriano and Kiembe coming back in, for, I think, for his first start since he went to AFCON. Dumbia as well, with his first start since he came back from AFCON. Marma on the right, Vata for his first start in how long, since November. And then Kurumgor leading the line. I guess the big talking point, Adam, when the team came out, and I don't know if it was the same in the press box and who you were speaking to, but obviously Rocco Vata starting after his cameo midweek, and it didn't end the way that we all would have liked. You made a really good point, and you tweeted today about how you think the plan from Watford, sort of reading in between the lines, was to start him and maybe just give him 45. Like I think Millwall did that with Casper Denore against us, where they played him for 45, then brought him off, and then rotated. You still stand by that? Do you think that was always going to be the plan with Vata, where we just played him for 45 and Javi wanted to play him from the start?
Yeah, I mean, that was what Javi said afterwards. That because I asked him whether, was there any kind of risk in terms of him coming back from his injury in starting him? Because it seemed quite quick after he'd come off the bench on Wednesday to start on Saturday. But Javi said he basically bows down to the medical team's knowledge and goes with that. They felt like he was fit for 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more if it worked out that way. So yeah, I think. I mean, who knows? I mean, that was the decision that they all came to and they were happy with. And I guess injuries can happen at any stage. He actually said he thinks the injury is a little bit different. Haven't really got details on that at the moment, but doesn't think it's a recurrence of exactly the same injury, which is hopefully a good thing. But yeah, it's quite interesting that Vata is someone who he has come to like and trust so much that he's almost, don't want to say rushing him back in based on what I've just said, but he's straight back in. There's not like that extra time being taken. I think he really suits that left-sided position. Javi likes the way he defends and plays in that role. So I was happy to see him play. I think he's a really good player. But yeah, just unfortunate. And I think he actually got injured making up for a little mistake he'd made with where he got the press wrong and ended up chasing back, and that's how he got injured. The way he was actually trying to press there is maybe something we can talk about more when it comes to Bar and Irankunda as well, because I know that's why Vata was picked. Obviously, he got it wrong in that moment, but that's what Javi wanted from his wingers. And then chased back and got injured. So massive shame. Hopefully not as bad again, because he's someone Javi really likes.
Yeah, agreed. And I think he looked really lively in that opening 25 minutes when Watford were playing really well. I mean, obviously his corners led to the opening goal, but even just his movement off the ball, he looked really sharp, Charlie. Adam mentioned it there about Bar and Irankunda. If you're them sat on the bench and you're seeing Vata start, when I think particularly Irankunda's probably got even more of a case, because every time he's come on recently, he's been bright and he's sort of, I wouldn't say changed the course of the game, but he's definitely made an impact when he's came on. And for Vata to just come straight in after that amount of time out, I know it's shorter than what we all expected. What do you think those two guys are thinking? Because Watford fans, from what Sam was saying, from the 60th minute, we weren't in the away end yesterday, but I don't know if Adam, you can testify for this, but they were all singing the bar songs and asking for him to come on, which we've seen recently as well, or heard recently.
I think it all depends how Javi's communicated and what his man management has been with those guys. And I think it's a safer bet to say that he would, his communication would be clear with those guys and explain the reason why. And look, it was clear from the moment Javi arrived that he really liked Vata, and especially for that defensive side, we know how he plays his wingers. And it's just one of those things where this manager prefers them because of these attributes. So I guess obviously those two are going to be really frustrated. I think I'd be more frustrated on Wednesday night, especially only coming on 80 minutes for Irankunda. I know Bar came on a bit later. I think Adam's got a bit more detail about why Bar was coming on so late. But yeah, hugely frustrating for those. But I do back Javi to communicate with those guys better, not keep them out in the dark and have, give him a reason and give him something to work for and explain why.
Charlie, I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but would you have started Vata? I know, obviously, we don't know the medical insight, but would you have not brung him on at maybe half time, or at least a little bit longer than where he came on in midweek?
Yeah, I didn't have the view that because he started, it was a stupid decision. Like if the medical team are saying he's past fit and you think he's going to give you the best chance to win the game, do you know what I mean? He could have come on after 60 minutes and got injured after 80. So it is what it is. Real shame. Hopefully he's not out for too long. But Adam, do you have a bit more detail about the bar? In one of your pieces, you mentioned about the reason it came on that late.
Yeah, well, it sort of links to transfer window chat actually, and the need in Javi's mind to sign more defenders, because Ngakia is still, I don't know if he's kind of battling the injury that kept him out or still just like working his way back up to fitness. Abankwah went off injured on Wednesday night, started again straight away. Thought he played really well actually, except for switching off for the equaliser, which I guess that's kind of his thing, isn't it? Like looks like a quality defender, 89 minutes out of 90. But yeah, so because Vata had came off, I guess the plan would have been to take Vata off at half time, or maybe in the same window as when Irankunda came on. But because Vata came off in his own substitution window just before half time, and then Irankunda came on, obviously Javi could have brought Bar on then, but chose not to. After that, they were basically waiting to see whether Ngakia or Abankwah needed replacing. And because there weren't any natural right backs or centre backs on the bench, they waited as long as possible to make that decision. And then only with like 6 or 7 minutes left, they got the word from those two that they were okay and Bar was ready to come on. So it's still not the greatest show of faith in Bar, because as I said, there were opportunities to bring him on earlier if he wanted to, but it wasn't meant to be quite as late as it was. And when I asked afterwards, like why Bar didn't get more minutes, that was basically the answer that he gave. So yeah, that kind of, I guess, takes the chat into the need to sign defenders as well. But I think with Bar and Irankunda, the simple fact is basically what Charlie said, that from a coach's perspective, he needs to trust the players he picks he needs to know what they're going to do. He needs to trust how they're going to perform. Are they going to follow instructions? Are they going to press in the right way? Are they going to be in the right position? And I think the reality is with those two at the moment is he doesn't have as much faith in their ability to carry out the plan as he does the others, which isn't to say that they're not willing to defend. I don't think it's even necessarily a being more defensive thing. It's just like, as I say, the way they press, it can be an attacking, like turning the ball over high and all that sort of thing. But I'm sure they're willing, and the young players, they're willing to be coached, but they're not at the moment like able to take on those instructions, and they're not showing that they can do the things that he wants. So that maybe throws the debate into like whether Javi needs to throw caution to the wind and all that sort of thing. But that's how he sees it, that Mama and Vata are more likely to carry out an Ince, that like the tactical stuff, than Bar and Irankunda are, which is why he wants to use them late in the game when it's stretched and maybe not so much of a chess match.
You read my mind, Adam. I was going to ask you, Charlie. It feels like, and a lot of Watford fans have said this, does Javi, as Richard says in the comment section, need to let the handbrake off a little bit? Because as we said, and as Adam said, it's 2 losses in 16. We're 8th in the table with a game in hand. Draws, despite this, feel a bit like defeats at the minute, with the sort of the manner in which we're getting points back and we're getting back into games, which is probably why there's a little bit of negativity around the results. But do you agree that Javi maybe just you've got all this attacking talent, and I know you can't put them all on the pitch and it's not FIFA, it's not Football Manager, but you look at someone like Bar who's come on at 85 when we're going for the game, and clearly we wanted to win that game yesterday, but we weren't really creating a lot. You even look at midweek, could he have come on earlier? I don't know, it just feels like Javi maybe his approach is control, is stability, and those two players are kind of the opposite of that.
Yeah, that's just not him, is it?
No.
Throughout his whole time, like whenever we even have like Delafeu, he was like the second striker. That's just Javi. He's a pragmatic coach, and that's how he plays. He likes his wingers to kind of be compact and defensive. So it's just one of him. I just can't see him changing anytime soon. I can't see him changing to a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 and having like 3 up, 3 high.
Would you like to see that, Charlie?
Yeah, I would like to see that. Do you know who I've really enjoyed yesterday's performance? Dumbia, especially in that 10 role. We saw it against Wrexham, and I feel like because we've seen him under Javi play as a two up front, and it seemed like it hasn't worked at all. And him and Kurumgora seemed like really isolated. But I feel like Doumbia, you see how, I don't know if you got his heat map there, but how low he kind of has been dropping back. He's got really neat feet. He can link up. He can bring different kind of positions, move people about. Really hard to pick up. So I do like Doumbia as that second striker and that 10 dropping a lot deeper. He was one of the players who I thought performed the best yesterday. Anyone else that you thought stood out, Jacob?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just on that, there's Doumbia. I know it's in the bottom of the screen, but there's Dumbia's heat map. That's as big as I can get it, unfortunately. But he was pretty much everywhere. And actually, if
I think he's great. I really like him. And if we're talking about like solutions and what we'd like to see moving forward, I would like to see him play as the 9, but like bringing elements of that into his game as well. And then you could get an extra midfielder. I thought he gets a lot of stick, but I thought Edo Kayembe had a really good game yesterday. It was a good goal, but I thought he played well. And so he gives you the option maybe to play with a 3 when Luz is back, or Georgie in the 10. And I think getting those creative players like buzzing around Doumbia, and we know how well he uses his body and how well he links the play. That's what I'd like to see, because I just think at the moment Luca up front is like lacking presence and almost like a spare part, like separate from the rest of the team. So yeah, I think that's a potential solution moving forward. But I think Javi likes that fixed number 9 as a box presence and to attack crosses.
It's interesting, just on Kurumgor there, Adam. I thought he looked pretty sharp in the first 25 or so. Like, I know obviously it didn't really change in that sort of 2-3 minutes, but I don't know. I mean, he just feels like a bit of I mean, again, it's very easy to say, but a bit of a confidence player. His sort of his body language after he's lost his man for the goal was almost like a different player from the first 20-25 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah,
do you think Javi needs to put maybe the argument of having another creative player in that area rather than like leaving him just on his own? Do you think he can play on his own?
Yeah, but I think he's really struggling because we haven't kept the ball very well and been able to like pass through the thirds, which was the aim. I know I saw a lot of people talking about why is Javi setting us up to go so direct against Millwall and Portsmouth, but I don't think that was how they were set up to play. He wanted us to sit back and play on the counter attack, but to keep the ball on the floor and work it through. And because we weren't able to, ended up going long to Luca a lot more than he wanted. So in that scenario, I think Doumbia would have dealt with those long balls a lot better. So I think there's a completely fair argument that the way we're playing at the moment doesn't really suit him, but he's not someone who makes life difficult for centre backs. I think too often centre backs will come off the pitch and think that wasn't a particularly difficult day. And we've seen the quality of his finishing, and I think he's almost like if you brought in a rule where no one's allowed within half a yard of each other, he'd be brilliant because he's got lovely technique. Like he's really neat and tidy. He's not like, again, I see comparisons to Rajovic, but I think he's got much better technique. Like he's got nice first touch, passes the ball, but it's like when there's a defender really breathing down his neck or when it really gets physical, that's when he struggles. So I think Doumbia just brings a lot more in that regard.
Yeah, agreed. Charlie, on that first 25 on the goal, Adam made a good point about Kayembe. He's one of those players for Watford where sort of when he plays well, it doesn't really get talked about, but when he plays badly, it does get talked about quite a bit. I don't know why that is. The narrative around Kayembe I find pretty fascinating, to be honest. But that's what he does, isn't it? I mean, from a set piece, actually good play before that to force the save for the corner, but ball comes out. Kayembe, very little backlift, sweet strike, keeper no chance. And at that point, you're thinking Blackburn are flat. Obviously, we knew the context of the boycott, so we knew it wasn't going to be I think it was 11,000 at Ewood Park yesterday. Watford fans took over 1,000, and we'll get Sam's thoughts in just a second. He was in the away end. But that first 25, that's probably what we deserved, wasn't it? And then you're thinking at that point, can we kick on?
Yeah, no, I think Kayembe, maybe he's got that stigma against him because he came in that transfer window. Was it along with Samir and Kalu?
Oh my word. Yeah.
And Hassan Kamara, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I think player of the season. Goodness.
But yeah, like I thought he was a bit better yesterday. I think the problem with him, especially centre midfield, is he can just be a bit slow on the ball. I thought he moved it pretty quickly yesterday. I thought Kyprianou was a lot better yesterday than he was on Wednesday. And that's one thing with Kayembe when he plays, he's a goal threat. He's got a great strike, and yeah, he showed it. And yeah, it's just you know when you have those successful teams, and you always have that midfielder who, you know, like the argument with like an Owen Hargreaves or someone, you wouldn't necessarily put him in your best 11, but helps kind of get things ticking along. Could he be that player if like losers? I like loser deeper, but yeah, I do think Kayembe is a good squad player, and I think certain types of games he shows his value. But yeah, that first 25 minutes, I thought we were really, really good, exactly what the doctor ordered. And then after that, it just all fell to pieces.
I mean, Samir, I'm still processing that as a player. That's like a pub quiz special, isn't it, that one? 19 games for Watford, by the way. If you can tell me where he's playing now, I'll give you a tenner. I'll buy you a pint at the Mad Squirrel.
He left for a Mexican club, I think. But I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, is he not there anymore?
Flamengo, Udinese, Verona, Watford, UANL in Mexico, so Club Tigres.
Yeah, that was it.
Then he went on loan to another Mexican club, and then now he's playing in the Saudi Pro League.
Good for him.
19 times for Watford.
From
Samir to Blackburn, what changed? What changed after that 25 minutes?
Well, the big change was in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, true.
Because conceding an equaliser straight away was just a real killer. And Javi was pretty annoyed about it afterwards. He said, I can't remember the exact build-up, because I think I was still writing about the goal, but I think there was a bad clearance, possibly from a Banquet out for a throw-in, when he should have just cleared it upfield, and then they won a corner and scored. And he said that basically they fell asleep completely. The marking was soft in the box for the goal. And it's just one of those moments where it's like, just get through the next 2 minutes, because it had been quite as well as we played in the first 25, quite frustrating that you obviously want to take advantage of that period. And then you finally get the goal, really felt like they were on their way. And then, yeah, to concede like that was really frustrating. And you just knew from there, Charlie's already said it, but you just knew from there the energy would change. Like, it's really hard to have got your reward, lose it quickly, and then like get going again. And yeah, from there, it just sort of looked like how a lot of games have looked recently, where it's just scrappy, quite sort of ding-dong, like lots of direct balls. The pitch wasn't great, to be fair, which Blackburn actually, Ishmael talked about more afterwards than Javi did.
Really?
Yeah, he said like the pitch just isn't in good condition. I think Todd Campbell said something about it as well. So it's certainly not an excuse from the Watford side, because Blackburn was saying it too. But yeah, never settled again. And we've talked so much about scoring first and that being really important, but that only counts if you actually hold on to it for more than a couple of minutes. So yeah, it sort of didn't surprise me it played out like that from there, because just the energy of the game changed. Like, it was so there for the taking, and then it wasn't. And I think that was the key moment of the game, really.
Should Selvig do better with it, Jacob?
I have to say, when I was watching it live, I did think Selvig, you've got to do better. And then I sort of went into his POV, and I was like, there was a lot of bodies in front of him. Not to put this sort of VR headset on. The Selvig headset. And what I will say is he made a brilliant save in the second half, Selvig, and probably kept us at a point and just get out of there at that point. Was it Ohashi, I think it was, when he was on the turn and Selvig made a good save. But I was more concerned with Karumgor's marking, really poor, just a bit soft. And I think Kipriani's reaction said it. He sort of like just stared him down afterwards, saying, "How have you lost your man at the near post?" Look, Charlie, from that point on, I mean, I think the word Javi used was the team relaxed after scoring. Complete defensive lapse of concentration. I guess, Adam, just to throw it back to you there, one of the recurring issues I'm seeing at the minute is we can't sustain this dominance, or we can't sustain pressure in the game. Why do you think that is? Because, okay, we didn't have Loser yesterday, and there was obviously a lot around that, whether he was sort of going to Ipswich or whatever. We found out that it was simply just an injury. But it does feel like we can sustain a bit more dominance when he's on the pitch. But there was no real reason why we shouldn't have kicked on yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, maybe miss Loser a bit, although I think Loser's been carrying these injury issues, and I think has become a much more of a marked man in the last few games. So his influence has dropped a little bit. I didn't feel like that was a decisive factor. We sort of said the equaliser like interrupted the momentum completely, but I do think it's a wider theme, certainly in the home games as well, that like I think Javi's as Charlie said, Javi's a coach who was set up to be controlled and stable, and he talks a lot about working the game, and I think he kind of means like growing into it, being solid, being consistent. It's something Watford teams in the past few years could have had much more of, to be honest, that ability to just stay in a game and be controlled and be present in it. But I think it's kind of turning matches at the moment sometimes into a bit of a grind where like everything looks a bit like hard work. Like how both the home games in the last week, we've kind of come away thinking like it's certainly like elements of the Millwall game and elements of the Portsmouth game and other home games in previous weeks as well, like Sheffield Wednesday and Preston. You kind of come away thinking not everything there was dreadful, but we've just kind of made hard work of it, made heavy weather of it. Even the Stoke game that we won was like quite similar for a lot of the game. And so that's how Javi is, that's how he coaches. And it's probably, as we've said, we've lost 2 league games in 16. We're still very much in the mix. I'd imagine we're going to win more games this season that are quite impressive tactical performances, maybe away games. But I think there is a feeling that like, I hate like, can we let them off the leash or whatever, like phrases like that, because it's probably more complicated than that. But I just think with the talent we've got in the squad, and when you look at the number of opposition managers who have come in after games and talked about the Watford squad being one of the best in the league and we should be top 6, and you look down the list of players and we've got players who I think will play in top leagues in the future, could there just be a little bit more of a mentality to be like, we're going to dominate today, we want to absolutely boss it today, we're going to show you that we're a better team than you are? And it seems at the moment like we're kind of happy being level in the game, growing into it, maybe using the subs to win games later on. And yeah, it's a difficult debate, because I understand that Javi's a great tactical coach. He's had a fantastic career, and it's not just him. It might be the mentality of the players as well to maybe go to that next gear. But I think in the next few weeks, just like to see that almost that bullish mentality of like, we're a quality team, let's go and beat you. And I think to be fair, we saw elements of it in the start yesterday, and then threw it away. But just overall, I think that's the feeling I'm getting at the moment, that everything's just feels a little bit harder than it should be.
No, I agree. I think Domi in the comment section makes an interesting point. We start badly, which gives teams confidence to build up momentum, Charlie. But yeah, yesterday was sort of the polar opposite of that, because we did start well. I mean, look, for me, I think this squad is completely set up to be counter-attacking, to play on the break. You know, I think of our 2 best performances this season, I look at Birmingham, I look at Middlesbrough, and you look at some of our best play and our best passages of play. It was in those games when we were playing on the break and we're being really direct and making really strong runs. I wonder if Charlie, I wonder if the difference is when you come up against a Blackburn, I guess you know you're going to have to sort of dominate the ball because we are a better team than Blackburn, or at least we're going to have to dominate the sort of possession or at least that. Whereas again, in those games, you don't have to rely on it as much. Or is it an intent? Is that the difference? Is it intent? Is it aggression? Is it trying to sort of put your mark on the game a bit more? What do you put it down to? Is it the opposition more, or is it us not adapting maybe to those opposition?
Yeah, I think a lot of examples have come when we've played against teams who've sat back and we've been tasked to kind of break them down. I do also think selection causes us to not be the counter-attacking team we'd like to be, having a Tom Ince playing instead of a Irankunda or a Bar. It's just one of those. When it goes well for you, like the Birmingham game, Middlesbrough game, like, do you know what I mean? It's like masterclass, exactly what we want. Do you know what I mean? Soak up a bit of pressure, stay compact, stay tight, be clinical on the break. But when it doesn't go against you and you're struggling to create chances, that's the real issue. So that's why it's such a big shame about Rocco Vata, because I think he's a player who's got that defensive side and he can give you that counter-attacking ability as well. It's just I'm trying to transport myself back to that Birmingham game, winning four wins, and I've been thinking about what's been the biggest change, but still don't have the answer. So I'm going to throw it to Adam. What if you could put?
Charlie was about to come up with something really insightful, and now I can't think of it.
I tried on the last video, I couldn't do it. Since we've won 4 in a row, if you had to put your finger on one thing, what would it be?
I mean,
that is hard. I mean, that's a hospital.
Two things I would think. I think firstly, Millwall definitely showed how to stop Watford. The way they squeezed us in our half. We talked about physicality, but it wasn't just like big tackles and challenges. They were really smart, got in front, stopped our key players playing. I think Portsmouth used similar tactics, and Watford were definitely more like edgy and nervous against Portsmouth as well. So there's probably an element of teams have worked out how to stop that kind of Birmingham performance. I mean, clearly, like the postponement at Hull and the Bristol City Cup game, I think that's a week that we might look back at the end of the season as quite disruptive, and the momentum that we were just on a roll going to Hull, and that obviously stopped it. And I think everybody came away that day like feeling disappointed, which wasn't really the right energy to have after winning every single game over Christmas. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk about with hindsight of the result, because I'm sure Javi would like us to play how we did against Birmingham in every game. But just like the speed and the physicality and the way we were absolutely at it with those counterattacks in that game, it's kind of exactly what I mean when I was talking before. When I say have a willingness to try and boss the game and dominate, I don't mean we need to have 60% of the ball and be in control, but like really, like you want to trample all over them. You want to really like prove yourself to be the dominant force. And I think that Birmingham performance was the perfect example, particularly the second half, when every single time they came forward, it felt like we nicked possession and then it was attack, bang, shot inside the next 10 seconds, using the strength off the bench as well. So yeah, it's definitely, I think nerves have crept in. I think opposition working us out a little bit. Probably just truthfully, like the nature of the league and the fact that it's very hard to go on long winning runs and be really good for a long time. There's other stuff creeping in, like recent history at Watford. There's, problems in January and second half of the seasons. This would be the fourth year in a row if it happens that we slip away from a good position at Christmas. There's kind of pressure to turn that around. There's lots of things, but yeah, I think it's tapping into that mentality they had against Birmingham. That's what we need. That it was just at times like a really like brutal counter-attacking performance, and I think that's what we're aiming for. But yeah, a few little things have changed since then.
I mean, if I actually just get the run up here, Charlie, and I know we talked about the run, it was actually that reverse fixture at Birmingham where it sort of changed. And you look at that and you go, okay, well, there's a lot of green, there's a lot of wins, and there's some decent points on the roads, some missed opportunities, but the only defeat is Millwall since that Birmingham defeat away on the 1st of December. But yeah, as we said at the top of the show, the sentiment around us at the minute, particularly from people who are going to games and are following the team, is that we're not sort of reaching the potential. We're not sort of, I know as Adam said, it's hard to be consistent in this division. And if you flip it, you could go look at the bigger picture. It looks good on there, but it is only one win in our last 4. Why do you think fans are getting frustrated? Is it because the handbrake's on? Is it because we're not seeing the true potential of this Watford team at this stage of the season? Because Watford are matching teams. They're not overpowering teams, are they? Not dominating teams. We're sort of matching the level at times.
Yeah. My big frustration really isn't, obviously you'd like to be winning every game. And when you take a big step back, especially under Javi, you look at the results and be like, that's pretty better than average. But I just keep looking at this league, the quality of it, the teams that are around us. I think Preston have lost 3 in a row now, who are above us. And I just get a real sense there's a big opportunity for us this season with Javi as the coach, with the playing squad that we've got, with the quality of the league. And that's my big frustration, that we're not turning those draws into wins, because all it would take is turning 3 draws into 3 wins and we'd be firmly in the playoff places. I mean, the fact that we're still in there is funny, really. So
we have a game in hand, Charlie, don't we? We have that game in hand, the rearranged whole game.
Tuesday, but Hull are flying, aren't they? Ever since that game got postponed, I don't think they've lost.
But if we win that, we go 6th.
If my auntie had...
The thing is, like, it's the teams like Hull will go on a dodgy run soon. Like the team, that's what's happening around.
When we're playing, I like
it. Yeah, still I'd manifest that, but like that will happen. So that's what's going to happen to teams around this part of the table all season. But I agree. I feel like, I think this Watford squad looks stronger than a lot of the squads we're coming up against. And some of the games we haven't won against teams that have injuries, are struggling, kind of come to Watford and very happy to get a 1-1 draw. That's a good result. That stops the bleeding for them. Just feels like there's been a few of those stories this season, and like yesterday was the latest one. So we definitely have to add some perspective here. Like if you'd said when the season kicked off and when we lost at Charlton that day, that in the middle of January or towards the end of January, we're 8th with a game in hand to get into the top 6, that's a good position. Not losing many games. But I think now the pressure has to be on to be like, okay, we've got another gear to go to. And if we don't find it, then you kind of worry that it's going to go a similar way to what previous seasons have.
Yeah,
and I
think
it's part of the problem been a bit of expectation. We saw everyone do their mid-season predictions. Everyone had Watford in the playoffs, betting on us to beat Millwall.
You blame me, Ali Maxwell?
Not that they're not top 20 lads. And for people who don't know, those lads are really predicting.
Everyone was saying, and we went off the back of 4 wins. Is that something that this young squad had been a bit like, oh?
Yeah, and I think, as I said, Millwall definitely. Alex Neil's a very, very shrewd manager at this level, isn't he? And I think he spoke afterwards about we wanted to get in their faces, we wanted to stop their flair players playing. A little bit of petulance and frustration crept in during that game as well. So, there's the challenge of becoming a team that everybody's looking at. So yeah, I think you're probably right.
We didn't really touch on the second half, but I mean, there wasn't a lot to report. I was following Adam's live blog.
Oh, Jacob, don't go on us.
Thing.
Didn't know if that was me from him.
I was back in the building.
You're back.
There was a power cut probably in this area. Well, I was mentioning Chatford-Atsey's chance, and I was saying there was little to report, and then it just landed
in my garden. All the way
well, I was basically saying, Adam, that I was following your live blog. Thankfully, I had Wi-Fi yesterday, and well, I don't know if it was a good thing actually, considering the lack of action in the second half. But there was a period of about 10 minutes from about 60 to 70, and I was refreshing, going, surely there's something. And I think there's literally nothing happening at the minute, and both teams don't really want to win this. Neither team pushed on. We talked about the game drifting. Chatford-Atsey's business. Fair play to Selvik. Good save. I wanted to touch on bigger picture stuff in just a second for the second part of the show, and we'll get some of your comments in as well. Let's get Sam's reaction up. He was in the away end yesterday. He was at Blackburn with Adam, with the 1,000 Watford fans. Do you know what? I'm going to get a picture of Sam so we can really bring him to life. He's actually at a awards dinner, I think, tonight. So he's living his best life. There he is. Next sort will be lifting in May. And let's hear what he has to say, because there was a few things, Charlie, wasn't there, of him flying around in the group chat. He wasn't happy.
Big man said.
Let's see what he has to say.
Hi guys, I hope everyone is well. Apologies I can't be on the video this evening, but as someone who was at Ewood Park, I just thought I would come on, give a quick voice note with my thoughts on the game. Firstly, Watford fans were brilliant yesterday in that away end, particularly in that first half. Really got behind the team after a difficult week with that Millwall game and that Portsmouth game as well. So I thought the Watford fans were brilliant yesterday, and I thought the players repaid that for the first 20 minutes yesterday. I said on our stream midweek that I thought that we'd have a reaction against Blackburn, and all the signals pointed to that. Within that first 20 minutes, there was an opportunity for Kirangor. We had 4 or 5 corners in the opening exchanges of the game. And then we went 1-0 up through Kayembe, which was a really well-taken goal. Something just completely seemed to switch. Granted, Blackburn scored pretty much straight after with their first attack afterwards. But that goal that they scored, and it just completely seemed to take out any momentum that we had. And that was pretty much, I mean, Kayembe's goal after that was pretty much the turning point in the game. And Watford, I thought, were really poor after that. Didn't move the ball quick enough, didn't progress the ball quick enough on turnovers in midfield, didn't really create any clear-cut opportunities, which was really frustrating because, like we said with the Portsmouth game midweek, like we said with Sheffield Wednesday, like we said with Sheffield United when we went there to Bramall Lane when they were in the bottom 3, we have to just be taking the game to these teams, and we didn't do that again yesterday. I thought there was some okay to good performances out there. I thought Mark Bowler had another good game at left back. Not sure what anyone else thought about that. But there was also some really poor performances. I think Otman Mama he's a really young player. We have to be patient with him, but I think he could probably benefit from a game or two out of the team. I think he looks frustrated and he looks low on confidence as well. And a couple of other players had really, really poor performances yesterday. I think the big question will be Quadro Bar, why he didn't come on sooner. I know Adam, who I think is on the stream this evening, spoke about it in a really good piece on the Watford Observer. But the reaction from the away end throughout the game, singing Bar's name from about 60 minutes till he came on at about 84, 85 minutes, pretty much constantly or every couple of minutes, I think signalled that there was real frustration from the away end with the substitutions. And yeah, I do think that, I'm not saying fans are turning on Javi at all, but I think the questions are certainly coming up now more and more. And if we don't get a positive result next weekend against Swansea, I do wonder if those questions will get a little bit louder at Vicarage Road as well. Anyway, thanks guys, and enjoy the rest of the video.
Bit of UK positivity to just keep the video going.
Bit of UK positivity to bring us home. I'll tell you what we'll wrap up today on the transfer window, Adam, while we've got you, because you are the man who is releasing some of the big bombers, as Charlie likes to call it, on Watford news. I guess Javi's made it pretty clear. He's put it out there. He wants signings. He wants particularly signings in the defensive areas. It's pretty clear there's not a lot of faith with foremost Mendy at the minute for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, but he's not even in the squad. Javi's prefers playing players out of position ahead of him. He mentioned yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, about Ngakia, the fact we don't have another natural right back in that position. So I guess from your perspective, what's needed in your opinion and what's realistic for Watford in January? I know it's quite a hard one to answer, but if you...
Yeah, I think Javi was pretty clear yesterday. He spoke about we've got real problems in defence. We need more players in that area. So that's definitely been his focus. His focus was a midfielder. And then since Max Alleyne went back to Man City, and I guess Caleb Wiley, although he wasn't really a factor in the squad for quite a while, the fact that Ngakia and Bola are kind of the only two, they don't really have much competition for their places. So that's definitely going to be the focus. I mean, I think what they want is a left-sided centre-back, which doesn't necessarily mean left-footed, because that restricts the market of left-footed centre-backs is much smaller, but certainly a centre-back who can play on the left. And then a fullback, potentially a fullback who can cover on either side, which, again, the January market is so difficult already. And then you're looking for a fullback who can play either side, who essentially is one injury away from being first choice at left back or right back. That's a difficult player to find. So, I think that's the main focus. I know I've seen people sort of mentioning the prospect of Max Alleyne coming back. Like, I've not heard anything specifically about that, but I would imagine, I know they're certainly aware of the possibility that it's only Watford who he can play for if he was allowed out from Man City. So I suppose that if there was any chance, that's one that they'd be prepared to wait quite a long time to try and do. But I think there's every chance Man City have already let them know that won't be happening. And then, I would guess borrowing players from our friends over in Italy is also quite a strong possibility in that area of the pitch. I think at least two defenders that's what Javi will want, and that's what they'll be aiming for.
Really interesting insight from Adam, Charlie. Hearing that the market is over in less than a week, as Vito says in the comment section, how confident are you that Javi gets what he wants? Because he doesn't sound like a happy bunny at the minute. And even when he was asked about Bove, which I think we're all excited by when he gets his fitness up, he didn't really seem that bothered, because I think he wants players for now. And that's the impression I'm getting anyway.
He was in such a filthy mood on Wednesday. I've not seen him like that. Very downbeat. And then having had to talk through the game, he was then asked about Bove, and it was just like, I don't know. It's not just basically, essentially, Bove's not someone who is not his problem for a few more weeks. He's not a problem, but you know what I mean? Like, not something he's thinking about for a few weeks. So, it was quite I think by the time it got to the Bove question, he was just like, "Get me out of here."
So, Charlie, I guess to sort of bring it on, do you think Javi will get what he wants in this window?
I don't think he'll get what he wants, but no manager probably ever does. If he wants to get what he wants, he'll probably have like 3 new defenders coming in. My prediction is we'll get 1 defender in, probably with a left-footed persuasion. We've seen Abankwah play right back. I think Adam mentioned it. I think Abankwah, since Max has gone back, apart from a bit of basketball against Portsmouth, I think he has been, on the whole, pretty good. I think, we'll get 1 defender in, and that'll be that. And then hopefully it's a good one. And then, look, Mark Gay, he played brilliantly for Man City yesterday. Max Lane didn't get a sniff. Ruben Diaz coming back. Could it align again? I'm not too sure. Elaine? Anyway. There was a Bove one about Javi not being Boved as well. I didn't know that. Anyway, we'll leave that for another channel. I reckon we're going to get 1 defender in, left-footed defender in. Jacob, what's your prediction? What's your January transfer prediction?
Guaranteed a player from Udinese will be coming. Not based on anything bar just track record. I mean, I need to go through their squad, really. I'd imagine we'll have a lone player in there. I think of last January, correct me if I'm wrong, we had Selvik come in, we had Abankwah come in. The January before, we had Chakvadadze join permanently. Was it under Vata?
Yeah, it was Dennis, wasn't it? Emmanuel
Dennis as well. So I think there will be someone who comes in, but I think, as Adam says, I mean, the likelihood of us getting that player that I think Javi wants, who can play both sides, I mean, I don't know. And I guess, Adam, one thing you released was recently was about James Morris. And I feel for him a little bit, because I think he's had, for all the world, that he's got a move lined up to Leyton Orient that's literally ready to be signed, but he can't leave until we bring in someone else. And the odds of him really playing for Watford again are quite low, I'd say, after the Bristol City game. But Richard actually asked, does Adam know anyone who will leave other than Morris? I know you sort of hinted at Sissoko yesterday being one to look at.
Yeah, well, I think obviously Pierre Duomo is still here, very, very much the forgotten man. I'd imagine something will get sorted for him, whether it's late in the window, because I think it suits everyone for him to leave now. And then Sissoko, like, I don't know if he'll maybe hang around until the summer when his contract is up, or go this month. But I think, like, we can read something into the fact that he's not been in the last 2 matchday squads. Like, he hasn't featured since that Bristol City Cup game, on the bench against Millwall, and then not been in the squad at all the last 2 games. And Jack Greaves was on the bench yesterday ahead of him, which is kind of a switch in the pecking order. I think there's certainly like a feeling that he's being sidelined, left out more and more. Whether that means he gets a move this month might depend on who comes in for him, or he might see out his contract. But I think he's certainly going to feature less and less. Like, it's not like he's just missed out on the squad. He's, there's a reason he's not been involved as much. So wouldn't be that surprised if he left. Duomo. Then I feel sorry for James Morris as well, because he's hardly getting a kick. He didn't have a great game at Bristol City in the Cup, but then that's his first serious minutes for months. But I suspect if the left back doesn't come in, he's going to be kept on till the end of the season, when I think his contract runs out as well. So, that Leyton Orient move was all ready to go, has been for weeks. Whether it still is or whether they've moved on now because they're still waiting, I'm not sure. But he's certainly one to watch.
Yeah, Adam mentioned that Malaga were interested, I think, at one point. I think Morris wanted to move to the MLS, or at least like the idea of that, right, Adam?
I think the thing is, he could have left for quite a few windows in a row now. Like, certainly in the summer, there were talks with Leyton Orient and others. And it's always been if we can get the player in, then we'll let you go. And it doesn't quite happen. So he ends up staying. So there's been, I think, quite a lot of interest in talks with various clubs for a year or 2. But it was Leyton Orient who he sort of wanted to join, and it's all kind of, I think he's ready to go from his side. I don't think he'll be allowed to go unless someone comes in.
A couple of quick fire ones for Adam before we go, because I know Charlie, and what I will say is Charlie's hip is playing up a little bit and he's hurting. Is it not from the chat? I'm assuming, Charlie, just physically you're struggling.
You two are just killing now. It's a bit sore and a bit uncomfortable, but it's all good.
Okay, two more minutes. Do you know what?
You sound like an absolute wet wipe.
Do you know? No, that's fine. Do you know what will make you feel a little bit better? Let's talk about the Mendy's. foremost, and Naples as well. Adam, what's going on there from what you understand?
I mean, foremost Mendy. So Javi's talked about him a fair bit this month. Valon Barami's talked about him. They say he's training well. He's waiting for his chance, but I mean, the actions are now speaking far, far louder than the words. The fact that Mendy wasn't on the bench yesterday, and Javi's sort of saying afterwards that they had to wait on making subs to bring on makeshift players at right back or centre back. Like, he's not in contention at all. And I think, listen, this sort of number one central defensive target thing has like followed him since the summer. But it's just not worked out. Like, he's not. I don't think he's settled very well. I think there's been there's sort of family stuff going on in the background. Doesn't speak any of the language. Hasn't settled in England particularly. I think it is just one of those things where not every signing works out, and he's one where, for whatever reason, and maybe there will be more details on it to come as this plays out. But like, he's just not been viewed as an option by Javi whatsoever, basically. So. Whether that means he could leave this month, I'm not too sure. Obviously, he's on loan until the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, it's as clear as day. Javi said recently, I see him like he's in contention, could play centre back, but he's nowhere near. That's pretty simple. Papi Mendy has always been the issue that Javi sees him as too. He prefers more sort of physical built midfielders. Just wants bigger players in there, and he thinks that Papi, certainly in like the two that he plays, is basically too small and like can't get around the pitch the way he'd like. So I think that's the reason he's not been as involved. But he's definitely like featuring in the squad, on the bench a lot, got some minutes more recently. That's just kind of preference about the profile of midfielder.
Sure. Ray also asks, will Petrus be leaving?
Haven't heard that specifically, but again, like he's not a serious right back option because he's never played in a back four. I think he played in a back four on his debut against Blackburn in September, if you remember, which was a pretty grim day as well. And since then, he hasn't played at wing back at Bristol City. I think he's a good forward-thinking player, but he just doesn't suit playing as a winger or a full-back in a back four. He came in when Paulo was playing wing backs, which is part of the reason foremost Mendy was signed as well, because they needed an extra centre-back and they wanted a right wing back. And I think if we were playing wing backs more often, he'd probably be playing more often. Again, I don't think there's an issue with him training fine. He's sometimes in the squad, but it's just, again, personal preference. He's not viewed as a right back or really a right winger, so he doesn't fit. But whether he'll leave, possibly, but I'm not sure.
Charlie, any more questions while we've got Adam on any players that you're burning to ask a question about? Will they be leaving? Will they be joining? Will they be staying? Will they be doing whatever?
I'll put Adam on the spot. Give us a prediction for an incoming this week.
Well, I think the Georgian defender from Udinese, whose name I can't pronounce or remember, but there's been talk of him, and I think that makes sense. I mean, this is a total guess, not based on information, but as I said earlier, I would guess that if the Max Lane option is open, that will be kept alive. They'd like to keep that alive as long as possible. I asked Valon about him the week he left, and he kind of laughed and said, oh, well, we thought it might be a possibility, but now he's playing for City. No. But now he's not playing for City, and if they get defenders fit, I'm sure that's something they're going to keep asking about. But potentially, if not, then don't know if you've got his name there, Jacob. I actually can't remember. But,
I do. It's Georgia centre-back for Udinese. I know he's played for a couple of teams in Italy. Saba Goglikiedze.
Yeah, I think a young Georgian defender who hasn't. I think he's pretty known to be pretty talented. Had interest from big clubs, but signed for Udinese in the summer and hasn't really had a look in. And was linked with a move over there last week. So that potentially fits the bill and is the kind of signing that I would expect to make.
Lovely stuff. Sorry for that terrible pronunciation as well. Shout out to James from the Watford way. Hopefully a couple of Drury drops to come this week. Charlie, final thoughts. We talked Blackburn. We talked a bit of transfers. We talked about your hip. Anything else you want to mention?
No. I tell you what. Swansea predictions.
Yes.
We are going to win 2-0 because it's a 3 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday. That is Watford's spiritual kickoff time where we always do better than normal. So I'm going 2-0, Adam.
Can't be 1-1 again, can it? It feels like we always draw up. We're
Yeah.
constantly drawing 1-1.
It can.
Yeah. 2-1 Watford.
3-1 Watford.
Jacob's going to go for the straight back 1-1 again.
You read me like a book. You read me like a roll doll. I'm going 1-0. I'll go 1-0. And I think, Sam, do you know what I love about Sam? He's already thought ahead for the sort of post-match reaction. Will there be questions to be asked about Javi? Is he on borrowed time? That's Sam Yuko in a nutshell. Adam, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us on this Sunday.
Thank you.
Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And it was relatively therapeutic talking about Blackburn in some shape.
Good fun. Always good fun. Always feels better when you chat through it, doesn't it?
True. Always true. Thanks so much to everyone who joined us. Charlie, what a pleasure. Thanks so much to all of you for watching live. If you're listening to this on audio, Spotify, Apple, all your podcast platforms, make sure to drop us a review. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below your thoughts as always. We always read them. And we will see you very soon. Have a great week. And up the Hornets. You want?